everyone. I am your host, Celia Lee, and today we've got it is actually our third overseas guest, this beautiful lady called Sonia. Welcome, Sonia. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, Cilia.
Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, where you're from, and one interesting fact about yourself.
Oh, okay. I, I am Sonia Montoya, and I have a photography business. I've been doing photography for about 12 years now, and I live in Arizona. And interesting fact, I am an autism mom.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for sharing. So I heard about your story on
Yes.
a good friend of ours, Luana's podcast, and for those who follow me, knows that I'm very big on and passionate about self-love journey,
Yes.
and we all have a story when it comes to self-love journey. So, and I think your one is significant because it's not the usual. How do you put it? I came from broke up with a man, and now I'm going to discover self-love. But yours more than that, I believe, and that's
Yes.
for me anyway. So I would like you, if you could tell the world about your self-love journey, and tell us your story.
Absolutely. Um, I didn't understand what self-love was for the longest time. So even to go in a little bit more depth, aside from the podcast that you had watched, I, I, of course, came from a broken home. I had abuse in my family. There was a lot of things that had happened, but I didn't realize that that wasn't normal. So to me, that was just how life went. And I went about my life going through and holding on that trauma. I was a young mother at 19. I had my daughter, and I was a dancer. I used to dance in Vegas and Los Angeles. Oh, yeah. So when you do like yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, get it, girl. Well, I was fabulous on stage, but
Mm-hmm.
interacting with other people was not my gig. I was terrible at
Mm-hmm.
it. And I think that was all a part is that I was able to open up and I felt powerful when I had my
Mm-hmm.
distance from people.
Yeah.
So I went through my 20s being not, I would say, not a very good person. It was my learning, my experiences of trauma just based interaction with relationships. I've been married 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
It was a complete mess.
Mm-hmm.
And my last relationship was 2 years, and I finally recognized that I was in an abusive situation. It was emotional and verbal, and then it almost became physical. And when that
Mm-hmm.
happened, um, truth be told, I called my best friend, who wasn't my best friend at the time. I called him and I said, he was an ex-police officer here in Lake Havasu City. And I said, I need your help. I need to learn how to use a gun. And it was my self-empowerment to be able to, sorry, that's my son. uh, it was my way of being able to grasp some sort of something in my life that I had control over. So in the process of me moving out of this relationship, I had a sidearm. Like I was like walking around the house going, don't even mess with me. And in
Sorry to interrupt you. It's
yes,
crazy because sorry to interrupt you. It's crazy because obviously because I'm from London
yes,
and gun is not a thing here. Like it's illegal, and the fact that you're
yeah.
saying this, it just makes me like, you're asking someone to teach you how to use a gun.
What's crazy is that I have practiced Buddhism for 20
Mm,
years, over 20 years. I have been, you know, just I practice and I never believed in it. I was like, no, not going to happen.
mm,
I was so adamant. We don't invite that into our house. We're very calm. We're, peaceful people.
mm,
But I started to realize that in a fear-based situation, that I was in, because I had been in so many relationships that were um, very abusive, physically abusive, mentally abusive, all these things, that I had to find my power and I had to figure out a way to be able to stand up for myself while I was still in fear.
Mm.
And um, my friend Sabrina, I was doing a photo shoot for her, and I was
Mm.
creating a book called The Strength of Women. And
Mm.
this book was like a process of being able to show women that no matter what places they are in life, they're still beautiful. It doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter your weight. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're a woman. You're beautiful. Own it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I created this beautiful book, and it's black and white, and it has lilies, like stargazer lilies and things, and they photographed with the lilies, and it could be breasts, it could be, belly, it could be legs, it didn't matter, whatever they were comfortable with showing in this photograph.
Mm.
And I was working on that at the same time, and my friend Sabrina came to me, and I saw a post that she did about Kambo. And I
Mm.
was like, "What is that?" Like, "What did you do?"
Mm.
She mentioned something, and I was like, and I asked her, and she told me probably about, she goes, "Well, they burn your skin, and then, you purge, and then, you feel enlightened." And that's pretty much what she gave me. That was
Yeah.
like, and I was like, "Okay, how do I call her? I'm in. Let me do it."
Mm.
There was some sort of driving force that allowed me to go, okay, there's something further that I need to do in order to calm this fight or flight that I have going on right now.
By the
And
way, sorry, just for the
yes,
viewers and listeners, for those who don't know what Kambo is, it's I believe it's a frog, right? Like with
yes.
poison. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Kambo is from the giant tree frog in the Amazonian forest. And they take the secretions of the frog on its skin. The frogs are not harmed. And they scrape the frog. And it doesn't give you any kind of, it's not like the hallucinogenic effects.
Mm.
It's what it does is that the frog peptides mimic
Mm.
our human peptides, and
Right.
when it enters into the system, into the lymphatic system, it cleanses and brings your body back to homeostasis. So
Wow.
yeah, if you people get, immunizations, and, maybe they smoke or they drink, or, whatever the case may be, I'm, yeah, hi. So I've had my wine, and it brings your body, it cleanses your body and purges it out of your body.
Mm. Mm.
But it's not only just a physical purge, it's an emotional purge.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Yeah.
So I just want to go back to after going back to about when you said you learned to use a gun.
Yes.
So and you walk around with it around your house. Did you ever had to use it?
No, absolutely not.
Mm.
The cool thing about what I had learned was that usually when people see something like that, or they know, they have a knowing,
Mm.
they don't mess with you.
Mm.
And I've taken classes. I have my license. I made sure to be a because I'm a very responsible person and I'm a parent as well. I think it's extremely important for people to understand the legality of everything, and
Mm.
also the dangers that come along with it. So
Mm.
I have safes. I have, there's just not like, if if I were to grab my firearm at any time to put it on myself to go travel
Mm.
or anything like that, it's always in safety. It's always
Mm.
being used safely.
Yeah.
But no, I never had to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then so then talk about like maybe like one of your relationship. How like did you get out with things, experience with it?
So,
How did it change you? Yeah.
um, so my I've had several. experiences in abusive relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It started, when I was a child. So I thought as a child, when I had um, a relationship with a man, I thought it was normal for them to become aggressive and abusive. And so it started with my daughter's father. And
Mm-hmm.
because he had attacked me, he had gone to prison for several years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't find my voice until last year.
Mm-hmm.
So once I sat with Kambo and started to really realize that, you know, men, women, it didn't matter. You don't get treated disrespectfully. You don't, people are not allowed to hurt you just because they want to. I was able to start to understand narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my son, my kids are 14 years apart.
Yeah.
And when I had my son, his father was a huge narcissist, and I just loved him. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, I will do anything for you, and I loved him. And we were together for a very long time, and I didn't realize that his manipulations and lies and things like that, and then physical abuse was mental abuse, and it would traumatize me, and I would take it out on myself. So I would drink heavily, I would smoke cigarettes, I would do things to abuse myself
Mm-hmm.
to not face what was really happening. And bless my daughter, she is such an amazing human being, and she's been through all these things with me, and she came out to be the most, just I Celia, if you even met, you would just be like, oh my goodness, this woman is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She is a great mother. She's a wonderful wife. Her and her husband been together since they were teenagers. They are each other's first love.
Love that.
She adopted children out of the system. She's just this person, and through everything she saw with me, she learned basically from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in my traumatic abuse, the last relationship that I had had, I didn't realize that I was abusive as well. So I had to learn the fact that my trauma was abusing him while he was abusing me. So I'm not a complete victim in the whole thing.
What do you mean by that? How was you abusing him?
So what I would do is he would do something. There's a fond memory I have of when we were first together and we were walking down the hallway and he pushed me from behind just out of pure, just for no reason. And
Yeah.
I turned around and I got aggressive and I said, don't ever do that again unless you want to be pushed back.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I separated myself from him. Every time he did something I didn't like, instead of me just going, this isn't for me, and creating a healthy boundary, I just
Mm-hmm.
would deny him anything physical or
Mm-hmm.
love or attention, and I started leaving and going to be with friends instead of spending time with him. And then I would explain to him that, well, it's your fault, the reason why I'm not here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't realize that's abuse to another person, to deny them because you're in a trauma situation and it's just this, you know, back and forth
Yeah.
issue. So I had to take responsibility for my actions as well. And I had to realize that, I wasn't standing up for myself. So I was internalizing and
Mm-hmm.
imploding with all this. And instead of me saying, look, I love myself enough
Mm-hmm.
to say this is not healthy for me,
Yeah.
I stayed for 2 years.
Yeah. I love the fact that you having that realization, saying that I have to also take responsibility, because a lot of people out there, they always will victimize themselves
Yes.
and will say things like, oh, he did this to me, he did this to me, da, 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 da. But like just you said, you did not
Yeah.
love yourself enough to stop it. or to
Exactly.
walk away from it.
Yeah.
So that is definitely, yeah, that I love that. So then so after sitting, so the Kambo made you realize like about people, a human, like people behave like it's not right to treat certain people a certain way.
Yeah.
Then after leaving this relate to your relationship, what happened? Did you then realize?
Everything went bad.
Okay.
So what I learned, what I've been told by several people is that in trauma healing, and when you
Mm,
are healing and you're starting to awaken and starting to, feel, there were so many things that happened. First thing, I became like holier than thou, like you can't mess with me. I do combo. I'm healing myself. I don't want your stuff. I have these boundaries. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, and I would like shove people away. You're not in my space. I don't eat meat. I don't do this, and I became
you become the what do you
the
call them?
ego version of
Yeah,
this.
the
Oh,
spiritual. You know, yeah, there's some spiritual people who think they're better than other people because they
Yes.
are spiritual. Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
but all it was a fear of me
Mm,
not wanting to go backwards. So I didn't realize that my fears were just going, get away from me, get away from me, get away from me.
yeah,
I'm scared of going back to this situation because I mean combo does make you purge. So and I'm like, I purged a lot, so
yeah,
get away, you know.
yeah. So when you say like you purge, as in like, how does it work? Because I just think, so I've sat with one plant medicine, which is peyote, and it's just over
Oh,
one night.
how
And Kambo is
beautiful.
like, is it constant? Because it sounds like you're doing all
So
the time.
So what happens is no, what happens is they're called gates, and my beautiful spiritual healer, I need to shout out really quick.
Hmm.
Bonnie Sue, I love you. She is here in Havasu. I love her. She's just created so much good in my life. But she burns the gates.
Right.
So she'll give you a certain number. She does Reiki, and those gates that are opened, that little circle of skin that is opened, that's where they put the medicine on. If you were to go on to my personal Instagram, which
Mm-hmm.
is the space between Gavin, space between
Right.
Gavin. Um, that is my personal. I have a lot of photos and videos of what it looks like.
Right.
And, and then what happens is well, I feel, because it's different for everyone,
Yeah.
but I feel a warmth that runs through my body. I
Yeah.
start to feel almost like this overwhelming sense of your body just kind of going, okay, we're taking this on. Here we go.
Hmm.
Emotional, physical, and any kind of toxic issues, thoughts, feelings, and then you're kind of flooded with this knowing that you're guided and you're supported by all these angels and guides and beings, and you could just feel it.
Mm.
My first experience, which I had no idea what to, I just went in and I was like, okay, what do we
Hmm.
do? And she was like, well, this is how it's going to go. And I go, so am I going to like vomit or something? She goes, oh, yeah. Like, and I was like, okay. And I'm already in. So I'm like, okay, here we go. When I'm sitting there feeling the medicine run through my system, I could hear a shaman chanting. And I'm Native American. So
Hmm.
it really made me attach to myself. And then I saw him dancing in front of me. And it was in my third eye. I didn't actually visualize because it's not a hallucinogen, but
Hmm.
I could see him here. It
Yeah.
was it was beautiful and amazing. And then I tapped out. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I purged enough. Everything's gone. It's out. And you tap out. She wipes off the medicine, and then it pretty much finishes off, and you're done.
Yeah.
And then she gives you fruit, and you get hydrated with coconut water, and
Hmm.
and after you're all hydrated, I felt like I could take on the world. Like I had never felt so cleansed and beautiful and full and just in my zone of, wow, this is amazing.
Mm.
So I've done it several times.
I understand what you mean by like you feel being guided, protected, or I feel you feel like you
Yes.
take over the world. I know what you mean, because when I did peyote, which is actually a month ago, I did it,
Yeah.
and I just learned so many. It was like in that moment you learn. I had so many life lessons just in those few hours.
And yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's like you said, you can see it. It's not hallucination. You just see things, and then it's like the visions that I saw, they all had messages, and it's not like I had a voice, but
yeah,
you just know what they meant.
exactly.
And after that, I said in my I actually did a podcast on it before. I said I had an ego death, and
Mm.
I actually feel
Yeah.
ready. Like I'm no more self doubt, because. But then again, when I went in there, my intention was, I set the intention was the intention I set was I want to get rid of self doubt and have the courage to do whatever I want, like that.
Yeah.
And now I do, if I want to do something, whether it's a project, whatever it is, I just like, I don't even have second thought. I was like, I'm going to make it happen, and I
That's
just feel
beautiful.
ready. Like you
I
said,
love
you feel
that.
ready to take over the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Maybe
just
I
know.
need to sit with peyote. I I too have a knowing. I just know. Like, and
Mm,
mine was more, my biggest flex is doing what I say. I'm
mm,
going to show up. If I say I'm going to be there, I'll be there.
yeah.
I'm going to do what I say. And I'm going to be, and it's really hard to be an authentic self. It really is. People don't realize, you say it all the time. I want to be my authentic self. But there's
Mm,
so many outside, influences that you're like questioning, almost like, who am I, on a constant basis? And I started to realize that this knowing that I have inside of me, I started to redirect focus. And that focus was just to show up for
mm,
me, show up
yeah.
for my son. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there.
Mm,
And that was huge in my life because I have social anxiety.
mm,
I I am a victim of ADHD. Yeah, like I
mm,
do. I'm all over the map.
yeah.
And I don't take medications. I'm all natural. I've been
Good.
practicing natural health for 20 years. I haven't always been the greatest to myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm knowledgeable and I redirect when I know I'm like, okay, get your crap together, woman, um, but I felt that I needed to just be a better person. Just be better,
Mm,
just be better. To be better to you, be better to other people.
yeah.
And that's where the authenticity starts.
Yeah. I agree, 100%. And I remember, I think I heard on that podcast I was watching with you with Luana. You mentioned about something, you moving around.
Oh, when I told you everything went to shit,
Yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me,
Yeah.
but you can
Yeah.
you can blurt
It's
that
okay.
out
You
if
can
you
swear.
want
I
to.
don't mind. We keep it real here.
I left, I packed everything, and I was bitter. So this was
Mm.
another thing that I had to realize is that
You left a 2 year relationship. This is,
when I
yeah.
left my relationship, I was
Hmm.
bitter. I was
Okay.
angry, and I wanted to show him that I was angry. And so I took everything out of the house except for a couple of dishes, a TV, and a chair and and a foot stand. That's all he got. Like I wiped the house clean because I was so mad. And
Sorry, can I just quickly add something? I'll just tell you something. This
yeah,
reminds me of something funny. Basically, I saw this meme on Instagram, and it talks about like how how bitter the girl can be when they break up. They would was it? Oh yeah, the girl. I think it's something like the girl when the girl break up, she would take all the spices, herbs and spices like condiments
yep.
out of the house, because but basically you can get another bitch to spice up your life. and and then you know what's so funny? When I read it, I laughed because I did that. I literally when I left my ex, I took all my stuff, and I also took all the
Yeah,
like all this all this, because I'm Chinese, all the soy sauces, like, literally everything,
you're
the
awesome.
whole tray. Because
That's fun. Yes,
Cause,
yes.
yeah, because I was just thinking like you're not going to use it anyway. Don't it's not going to go to waste. I'm going to take it home and use it.
But girl, you have no idea. I packed up a moving truck, had no idea where I was going. I moved
Wow.
to Idaho with all this crap.
Yeah.
Okay. Money for a truck, money for gas, money for hotel, going to Idaho, not having a place to go, having my son with me, having to put all that shit inside storage. It cost me thousands of dollars. And then 3 weeks later, I found out that the house that I had stabilized in Idaho wasn't going to happen. And I ended up homeless and had to call a friend. I went from Idaho to Arizona. Arizona, I ended up living in someone's backyard in a
Mm.
trailer, which I've never had to do in my life. So I didn't know what was going on. Sorry, it's my son. He likes to be noticed. um, and it was like I was in this trailer. Well, they didn't know how to maintain the trailer, and my son ended up getting sick because the septic system was
Mm.
poisoning our air, which I didn't realize. And my son went to 5 emergency hospital visits, and he
Mm.
was literally dying, and I did not know. Then I went from there, realized what happened by happenstance of my shower clogging, and I go, oh my God, grabbed all my stuff, got out of there, was living in a hotel in Laughlin, Nevada, homeless, didn't know where to go. I still have all this crap in the storage. Okay. I'm paying
Mm.
$200 a month for a storage. I'm have no idea where to go. I have an autistic son. I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to stabilize my life. My car ends up, I have a smart car. I love my car to death. It's adorable, but it's a Mercedes and it's expensive and the parts are
Mm.
expensive. The part that had broken is what cools off the engine, so I had to have
Yeah.
that fixed. So here I am, no car, no home, in a hotel, not knowing where to go. I
Mm.
end up at a friend's house in Colorado for 2 weeks. They were like, I'm sorry, this really isn't working out. And it was just because I believe he wasn't prepared for my son likes to pace, he likes to make noise.
Mm.
And, a lot of people have to get used to these, it's called stemming.
Mhm.
So, kind of what you hear in the background. It's sometimes it's controllable. He has Tourette's. So sometimes
Mhm.
it's not, and we just deal.
Yeah.
So then I went from there to New Mexico, in through New Mexico, and then I went to El Paso, Texas with my cousin. And when I moved in with my cousin, unfortunately, she had an abusive relationship happening and domestic violence happening in her home. And it was just, I'm like, this is not healthy. But I was there for about 2 months. And then she had asked me to leave, and I said, gladly. And I left and I came back here to Havasu, and I literally did a full circle. So I started here in Havasu and did this full circle, which cost me nearly $20,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
And I was frightened and alone and single parent and didn't know what was going on in my life. And by the time I was stabilized, I am currently um, staying with my best friend, who has been such a blessing in my life. And he has been just a soul that has just been this beautiful, beautiful being and allowed us to get on our feet and
Mm.
allowed me to stabilize and feel safe.
Mhm.
And now that I do, I'm able to rationalize and think logically and do everything that I need to do in order to make the next moves. I started with my business again. I have insurance with my business. I'm good. I'm flowing. I'm doing my work, and it feels really good. So after all of these things that happen and all this homelessness and everything, I realized that everything that had happened to me were all the lessons that I had done to other people, the things that I had done to others that I realized that I needed to apologize for, that I need to sit with myself and go, oh, shoot, I did that to somebody else, or I had to go through this in order to learn this. And it was all very humbling.
Can I ask, what did you do to other people?
I
Because you said
had,
you also mentioned that you weren't a very nice person.
there were times, yeah, I was definitely human and in a trauma state. And I say human because we don't realize that when we're in victim mode and we're traumatized as children
Yeah,
or adults, we don't realize that the things that we do to other people in order to try and just be, we don't realize that we filter that
mm,
because being a reflection of each other, we're just,
yeah,
pushing our traumas on other people and going, you don't understand me.
mm-hmm.
You don't understand me. And so, one of the major ones was I had a very close friend, Gavin, enough. Um, I had a very close friend. Her name was Andrea. She was my soul sister, and I loved her so much. And I had her move inside my home, and we fell apart. I was very harsh on her, and I was very demanding of her, even though she wasn't well. And I pushed her out of my home, and I didn't realize that me being hard on her, like rent is due, and she's like, I don't really feel well. And I didn't realize that she had COVID before everybody else. And I was like, deal with it, sack up, woman, come on, you got this,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And I'm thinking that it was just, there were so many things that had happened. And I didn't realize that I was being mean to her. I thought she was just trying to take advantage because I was so scared of everyone taking advantage of me because I was
Mm-hmm.
in that trauma state. So when
Yeah,
you're stuck in that and you start to feel like somebody's taking advantage of you, you immediately start to filter that and you start to
mm,
become aggressive and passive aggressive. And you start to do things that in a healthier state you would go, I would never do that to someone, you know? And unfortunately, when I pushed her out, she met an abusive man, and she ended up in a trailer. And the things that had happened to me while I was in the trailer happened to her prior. And so I saw the universal connection of
yeah,
what we do to people, we have to go through our karmic debt. If you don't learn from it, you being Chinese would totally understand this.
yeah.
You're gonna go through it again and again and again until you get it right. And if you don't see it, it's like relationships. We're going to keep meeting that person that is just this trauma and your trauma, and you're not going to get it right until you see your part in it. So it all
Mm-hmm.
starts with I instead of them.
Yeah. No,
So
that just gave me goosebumps. I love that. It's that whole thing right there when you said we have to learn and see until we realize the comics, like, yeah, all of that was just
yes, yes.
beautiful. Well said.
Well, her and I, we reconnected.
Mm-hmm.
I deeply apologized, and
Mm,
we are connected once again. And it made my heart whole because, this person that I love so dearly, I should have had more compassion for. I should have been a better friend. I should
yeah.
have stopped looking at her as if she was an enemy, but it was literally myself who was the enemy. And
Mm,
that's what I say when we all look at each other, when we victimize other people and we judge other people, that's exactly where it is. We're judging ourselves.
yeah. So
And
everyone we meet is a reflection of ourselves. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so once I started to see all that, I started having really beautiful people enter my life. You, Luana, Luana, she reached out to me and gave me such a powerful, beautiful tool of hypnosis. And
Yeah.
it just, because I was still in trauma state. I still
Mm-hmm.
am. I'm still working through those. But I recognize things more. Now I see
Mm-hmm.
things, oh, I need to sit with Kambo. I need to use Luana's, my
Yeah.
hypnosis. I need to sit and meditate. These are things that, these tools that I have received, not only from tribe, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just the people in tribe. Um, I've met some amazing, beautiful people, that these are just a collective of humans that want to help each other.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're in trauma state. I had trauma too in the past. This is what I did. Let me help you. I have these tools. Let me help you. And I couldn't be more blessed.
Yeah. No, I definitely resonate with that as well. And just when you start loving yourself,
I know. Yeah.
when you start
Sorry.
loving, it's okay.
Little stinker.
When you start loving yourself, your energy starts to shift,
Yeah.
and even same with like, because when your energy starts to shift, then the people around you start to shift, and you start to, the people that's no longer serving you, they start to somehow, universe will get rid of them and bring in the people that is the same frequency as you. And
Yes.
I'm telling you, like, this is so, my self-love journey only started like um 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Like you, I didn't understand what self love was. I thought self love was just get my hair done, get my nails done.
Right?
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't know until I left a relationship, um, and then I was like all over the place. Anyway, and then afterwards, a friend had a book, and I read her book. Anyway, so that's when it started. But it was only last year August when I practiced celibacy. That is when I
Yeah.
truly
I did that also.
discovered self love. It was different. Like, it's not that I didn't know what self
Mm.
love was, but being celibate was like a whole like game changer for me. It's definitely
Whole
a game changer.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, and then since when I started doing that, it's all my things just started going so smoothly for me. We're just going so smooth, and just meeting so many like people that just like you, feeling so blessed now. I'm just so grateful. It's like you met your soul tribe family.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely resonate with you. Let's talk about this celibacy.
Oh, yes. That's
When did you? So why did you decide to go to become celibate?
so I realized listening to Danny,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that it was him who actually tapped into that. And I
Mm-hmm.
go, that's a really good idea. Like,
Mm.
I was like, I've never done that. I
So
was
when did you
always
start? When did you start the
relationship.
celibacy journey?
So mine was a year ago after Kambo. So once I
Okay.
heard Danny say it, I took my vow, my personal
Yeah.
vow,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized the most beautiful thing about celibacy was that you have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know and I never realized that before. I was like, relationship to relationship, I need to feel love, I need to feel love,
Mm.
so I need to attach to this other person, and they need to give me the love that I don't feel. And
Yeah.
I started to realize that, I'm going to be 46. I have
Mm-hmm.
grandchildren. I'm
Mm-hmm.
and the realization as I got older is I started to become a lot more picky in the people, especially within last year, of course. But celibacy helped me see that I have the ability to say yes or no. I get to
Mm.
choose. I get to choose whether or not I want to hold hands or touch,
Mm-hmm.
or I want to even engage in conversation that could, eventually move to something different. Those healthy boundaries of of that is what made me feel safe.
Mm.
So it created this bond within myself of being able to say no, because when I was younger, I had no idea. I thought that sex was love.
Mm.
I didn't realize that the act of love is sex.
Yeah.
And, loving yourself, just understanding the vibration within yourself, you don't have to spill that out to everybody. You don't have to, but being sexy, feeling beautiful about yourself, and loving and owning yourself as a woman doesn't mean you're sexualizing. It doesn't
You're
mean
speaking
that.
my language,
Yeah,
Sonia.
you know? And yes, and I see you owning, you're like, look, this is who I am. I could wear what I want. I could dance how I want. I could, and I was like, that's my girl. Like, I can be this beautiful energy and I can flow and have my emotions. But if you're taking it as if I'm sexualizing the situation, you need to recognize that in you because I'm
Mm,
just being my whole self, you
yes.
know? And that's the beauty of being a woman. And
Mm-hmm.
my healer, Bonnie, she said something really cool about men and women. She said the masculine feminine energy, she said a woman is supposed to be dancing on a cliff. There's this cliff, and she's supposed to be twirling and dancing and loving herself. And a man is supposed to stand at the edge of the cliff with his arms out, making sure she doesn't fall. That is the balance. And the beauty of a woman is that that's what we do. We just flow, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we're supposed to be able to flow without it being looked at as if we're, you know, uh, sexualizing anything or being disrespectful of ourselves and demoralizing ourselves. No, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. We're allowed to own this. I've been a
Yes.
photographer for several years. I photograph nude men and women. It's
Yeah.
what I do. It doesn't mean I am less and they are less. It means that
Mm-hmm.
they are embracing
Yeah.
their humanity.
Yeah. And also, like, for example, for culture wise, so for example, like me being a Chinese girl, in
Yeah.
my culture, we are
Oh,
very,
yeah.
like, yeah, conservative, reserved. And
Mhm.
if even if I, let's say I'm wearing this now, they'll be like, "Oh, you look a bit sexy today." Like, are you serious? Just because I've
Yeah.
got my shoulders, like nothing like that.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I had a t-shirt, like it was a bit lower down
Yeah.
here, and I was a bit younger back then, and then my mum was like, how can you be wearing this? Look, all the men will be watching you, like that. And I'm just like, that's not my problem,
Yeah.
Like I'm
It's
just,
not.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's their problem, not my problem. Why should I be um sort of like dimming my light because
Yes.
someone wants to be a perv, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I'm so passionate about like trying to deliver the message, whether you're what background you're from, what ethnicity you're from, is that, like you said, we are women. We are supposed to be sensual, sexy. Doesn't when I say sexy, ladies, I don't mean like you have to dress sexy to be sexy. Sometimes it's actually the being in your feminine, just
An
being
energy.
present. The feminine
Yes.
essence, confidence is
Yes.
sexy. That's it.
Yes.
And just
Yes.
embodying, embracing of who you are, and just basically being. Don't be ashamed of being embracing your
A
sexuality.
woman.
Yeah, being a
A
woman.
woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be, yeah. That's where I started to realize because I've been a dancer and
Mm,
I realized that I utilized my my skill on stage as my photography. So I started to, photograph these women that didn't feel pretty. And so when I first started my photography career, I did hair, makeup, and a photo shoot all in one because I'm a certified makeup artist. And I did all this for them. And they started finding their beauty. And
mm,
one of the girls that I work with, I love her to death. Her name is Kira. She actually became a model and she continues to model to this day. And she's just exquisite in her art. And there's so many women. Another girl I know, her name's Callie, and she is a burlesque model. And and she's just gorgeous. And it's just these women, all different shapes, sizes, it
mm-hmm.
didn't matter. It was the cool thing about it is that they would come to me and they're like, look, this is how I want to feel. This is how I want to look. And it would change their lives. They would either lose weight, they'd start to eat healthier, they'd start to take better care of their hair and their skin and they started to find that self-love and they
Mm-hmm.
started to see themselves as they should be. And
Yeah.
that was the whole idea behind my book as well, is that the strength of women, you need to see that you are beautiful. I believe that women are dimmed so much in
Yeah.
society
Mm-hmm.
because we're portrayed as, you can't do this, you can't do that.
mm,
If you do this, then you are that. No, no.
yeah. Not only that, also like with the like social media, the pressure from social media having to look a
Yes,
certain way, and
yes.
they just
And
think
this
if I
filter
don't look,
nonsense.
yeah, yeah, trust me. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Girl.
Oh yes, like I'm just thinking you you should have the pressure to think that, oh, if I don't look this way, I'm not
Hmm.
beautiful.
Exactly.
And it's just brainwash them. It's just so unhealthy, so toxic. It's
Yes.
like, do you understand? Like some of my clients, I'm a personal trainer. Some of my clients,
Yeah.
they're beautiful. They come to me because they know I specialize in body confidence, things like that. And I say to them
Yeah.
like, they tell me they lack confidence. I'm like, are you serious? You are gorgeous, and you're
Yeah.
telling me you have no confidence. And then even they're so beautiful, they still use filter.
Yes.
And so the social media itself is just, it's very toxic. Yes,
Well,
I'm sorry.
it started with magazines. I mean, we've been
Yeah,
going through this as women and men, we've
yeah,
been going through this for decades. It's
mm,
just it's a constant struggle to try and find that within yourself and
mm,
own it.
yeah,
And you know, I try not to filter my personal photos. When
mm-hmm,
I do my photography, I say, do you want, there's fine art photography, and then there's my black and white photography, which is not really edited at all.
mm,
And it's just, and that's actual my favorite is seeing somebody in genuine laughter and
mm-hmm,
genuinely who they are. But I also
yeah,
want to create something that you want to see. But I also tell people all the time, I don't want you to look at this as if this is not who you truly are. So
mm,
just be careful in
yeah,
what you see. You know,
yeah. And also like
we,
self, yeah. Go on.
yeah, no, please.
I was gonna say self love is accepting who you are,
You have
and
to. Yeah,
being at peace with who
yeah.
you are, and be at peace with the way you look and your
Yeah.
body and things like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Mm,
I always tell my daughter, start from inside.
mm,
So, I mean, anti-aging, anything like that. I said, don't be obsessed with all the hoopla. Just take care of yourself. Make sure everything functions correctly.
yeah.
Make sure you're gonna last. Okay,
Yeah. So like, yeah, I always say to my clients, or even on my social media, I say, don't eat because you want to look at. Sorry, don't eat because you want to look a certain way. As in, like these
Hmm.
athletes that they want to eat, they count the calories because they want to look a certain way, the body.
Yeah.
But no, like they count the macro, like the fat, protein, carbs, but they forget about the micronutrients. The micronutrients also what helps you, for example, function properly.
Yeah.
Your body function properly, but also when you take care of your body, you will start to glow because your hair starts to get more, you're healthier, your skin looks healthier, then you
Yes.
start to glow from the inside to the outside. And that
Right.
is, you eating healthy is a form of self-love as well. I'll just say that.
Well, I'm a certified personal trainer as well, but I haven't done training in several years.
So many
And
synchronicity
I
here
know we
now.
have a lot in common. I used to train for Gold's Gym a long time ago, the
Mm,
Americanized just bodybuilding, and I trained to be a bodybuilder. I was in the Natural Bodybuilding Association. This is what
wow.
I wanted to do. I was like, I was so in it. I was very strong. I had
Hmm.
a lot of muscle tone. I was very determined. I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Um, and it was something that I carried with me throughout my life, but I also realized how unhealthy I was.
Mm,
I had horrible acne. I had, because I was depleting my body of certain nutrients that as a woman I needed. And I was also so chemically and hormonally imbalanced because of the way that I ate, because I
mm,
was training for this fitness goal, which was fine if you're going to
mm,
do it. And I respect how hard these
mm,
women and men they focus on that.
yeah.
But I really was unhealthy.
Mm,
And I started to realize that the fat on our bodies as women is beautiful.
yeah.
We have these curves and we have
Yeah.
embrace, and thin women too, but we all have this body type.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't until I had my son and once I I found out he was autistic, I started to really get in depth with understanding the body,
Mm,
gut to brain health,
mhm.
the what it really takes to have clear skin, what it really takes to be hormonally balanced, mind, soul, body. And it's not just taking a pill. It's not just,
Yeah.
there's certain things. I mean, it really is a delicate balance with our microbes, with our, with, our collagen
Mhm,
intake, when you should take it, what age should you take it?
mhm.
Things like, you know, uh, probiotics. That's a huge thing in my life, you know.
Mm,
And when it started to come to those things, I realized that it's the more balanced you become, the more beautiful you feel because you feel good inside.
yeah. Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you understand about self-love now?
It
Your
takes
definition.
time.
Mm,
It takes
okay.
time. Be gentle with yourself. Every day I have to wake up I try to be more uh try to be more on point. So I have my alarm set at 4.
Uh-huh.
I still haven't woken up at 4 a.m. yet. So
4 a.m. I wake up at
I
5. 4 a.m.
I wake up around 5 or 6, but I'm
Okay.
trying to get up at 4 a.m. and I have this goal, and it's wake up at 4 a.m., do yoga and journal,
Mhm.
and it's all a really good thought.
Yeah.
But am so exhausted. My daughter and I, we just had this conversation. We're like, we're so tired. And we're just tired. And I hear this little voice in my head saying, be gentle with yourself.
Mm,
You have these goals, you have these aspirations. Sorry, Mila, these aspirations of who you want to be and what you want to do. And self love is basically it's not time management. It's just waking up every day saying, you know what, I love me. I'm okay today. But the process is a journey. You know.
yeah. 100%. It is
Yeah.
definitely a journey. Because even like when I started my love. I said earlier, I started my self-love journey 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
From what I understood, the first 6 months of that to now is totally different.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
like I thought I knew it. I felt like I was a baddie, and then
Yep.
and then you learn more and more and more. Actually, you know what? I didn't actually love myself. I didn't actually I didn't know my true self worth. And then you
Yeah.
just learn more and more and more. And
Yeah.
I knew it when I truly loved myself. Was when actually this is to be honest, this is more like body confidence, but is when I became more at peace with my body. No longer like trying to chase. I need to have abs, 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 abs.
Perfection.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Always trying to
Hmm.
chase that, and when I basically, so last year I say I was slacking when it comes to fitness. I was training. Usually I train 4 to 5 times a week, but last year I was training
Hmm.
2 to 3 times a week, and but then it got to a point where like, you know what? I'm actually okay with this sort of softness in the midsection. I feel good actually. I feel good about myself. I'm actually embracing the feminine curves. And then even I had people like some of my friends were like, they said to me, "Have you been working out? You look good." I was like, "No,
No.
I've been slacking." And then they said, "Whatever you're doing, it's working." So I think to be honest, I'm not saying don't work out. I'm saying, of course, you do work out for vitality, but it's more like I believe it is the self love. I'm glowing, and I think overall,
Yeah.
that's why I look good, and I feel good as well, like you said. Yeah.
Exactly. I believe that the like I was saying, the authentic self, even
Mm,
though you're not completely chiseled, you know, it comes from the inside. Your glow comes from the inside. So that beauty and that grace and that embrace, it you don't have to be this idealistic, proportionate, you know, just love yourself,
yeah.
and it flows.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for your time.
Thank
Any
you.
like any sort of like advice, maybe final words you want to give to the ladies? Because most of my audience are women, but men and women actually. Any advice about self love?
I would say, like I said, be gentle. It takes
Mm-hmm.
time, but most of all, just let it flow.
Flow state.
Let it flow. Just
Yes.
don't judge yourself. Don't
Yes.
judge others.
100%.
Just be at peace.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah.
so how can if people want to connect with you, how can people connect with you? Where can they find you?
Um, Sonia Lucia Photography LLC.com, and my Gmail is Sonia Lucia Photography at gmail.com. They can find me on Instagram, Sonia Lucia Photography LLC underscore art. That's for adults. I also have a kids page, which is an underscore kids.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Perfect. Okay.
yeah.
And
And Facebook, I have all of them, and TikTok and all that stuff.
yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for so much tuning in, listening, or watching whatever you're doing. Love you lots. Bye bye.
Thank you.